Hi, welcome to my channel, Living My Best Life with Lisa Marie. I'm so glad you're here. Now let's get crafting. For this DIY, I got this really gorgeous frame at Hobby Lobby. You can see up close the detail on it. And it was on their 90% clearance. So it was originally $150 and I got it for $15.03. If that's really true, boy, I got a great deal. Plus I had a gift card. And I'm also going to use this foam board from the Dollar Tree, and this is so big it wouldn't fit on my craft table, so I had to put it on the floor. So you can see I'm going to have to use one piece and cut another one to make this fit. I need to put this into the frame for what I'm going to be making. So I'm going to measure using my square ruler and try to come up with the right measurements. So I've got the first piece cut there, and then I'm going to go back to the table and cut some more to fill in for that second piece. Little bit of calculations, not my favorite part of doing DIYs, but you know, you got to do it sometimes. And after I get that cut and that little piece comes out, I go back to the frame on the floor and sure enough, it fits. So now I need to attach the two pieces together since I unfortunately couldn't just use one. I'm going to do on the back side, I'm going to do tape and hold it together. And then I'm going to turn it over when it's all taped up and kind of bend it open a little bit, and I'm going to run some hot glue right down that seam, and then I'll push it back together. I'm going to use my little spatula, a silicone spatula, to wipe off the excess hot glue so that I don't have any weird edges, and there you go. And then I'm going to take my Kills primer in white, and you won't even be able to see me, so I didn't show it, but I painted the whole thing white. And now I'm going to draw some shiplap lines. Now I'm going to base it on that seam since it's there and I'm stuck with it. So I'm going to have my shiplap going vertically, and I'm going to calculate again how far apart to make the lines, which I really just hate doing that. Does anyone else hate doing that? I mean, it's math. Sorry, it was never my best subject. Anyway, so I did finally figure it out. It really took a lot longer than you're seeing here, but it makes it look easy when you speed it up. And I will draw where I need to put my lines by putting dots on the top and the bottom. And then I will use my square and I will actually draw the shiplap lines. I'm going to be using some antique wax here from Waverly to go ahead and create those lines so they look like they're planks of wood that are distressed. So I've got a chippy brush and a little makeup brush. So I'm going to use the chippy brush to apply the antique wax, and then I will take the little black brush to blur it so that it's not so heavy. I'm going to do that on every single plank line, and then I'm going to go around the edges as well of the whole board. And then I'm going to very, very lightly dry brush into the center of the planks just to give it the feeling of wood. And every so often I'm going to kind of squish my brush on there and kind of create a little knot, you know, as if it was actually wood that has imperfections and so on. And you'll see me doing that here shortly. To make sure I didn't get it too dark, I'm going to go in with some plaster color chalk paint and just kind of tone down where I over distress because I don't want it to look ridiculous. And this kind of adds some texture to it also because there's the white base, there's the antique wax for the actual lines, and then there's a little plaster. And there's what it looks like inside the frame. It really looks good. The camera just doesn't do it justice, but in person it really looks like wood. It's amazing. And then I went to my Cricut and I cut out the letters to spell the name Jesus. And this sign is going to say Jesus, period. And that's just to emphasize that for me, Jesus is the end all be all. Now, if you don't have a Cricut, you could use stickers, rub-on transfers, you could hand letter, so many options out there. Now this sign is very large, and I got to tell you, it's hard finding a spot for it, but I have found one and I am in love with it. I hope you like it too. Today's video is part of a collaboration called In His Name, and it's a faith-based collaboration hosted by KRAFTY LEENY and DIY with NADIA with several other talented crafters. I am honored to be part of such a meaningful collaboration. I will have the host's channel links down in my description box, as well as the playlist for all the videos in this collaboration. You absolutely won't want to miss this one. And if you're here from one of the other ladies' channels, welcome. I'm so glad to meet you, and I hope you will consider subscribing to my channel as well. For this DIY, I'm actually repurposing a previous DIY. So I had already painted these books once for a DIY, and now I'm painting them all in that white primer by Kills. And it takes about 3 coats to really cover, because I had used some pretty dark colors in the past, but that's okay. I wanted it to be white, and I've got a little heat tool. You see it on the right there. And now that I've got this thing, I'm loving it. It's so much better than my blow dryer was. I didn't realize it. And I will put a link for that in my description in case you need one too. And I'm just going to go over all the edges, the tops, the backs, and that kind of inner part where the pages are. And there you see me drawing it off with that handy dandy heat gun. And then I'm going to do more coats, and I'm going to keep doing it till it gets to the point where I think it looks really well covered with the paint, which this is pretty much the end right here. And I just want to make sure I get all those little edges that you see the dark where the other paint was. So I have to do several little coats of that, but it doesn't take very long because it's a very small amount to cover. I'm going to use my Aleene's Premium Decoupage, and I'm only going to do the spines because that's where I'm going to be writing something. And so I want to make sure that I'm not writing on kind of a flat primer paint. I have this gorgeous blue and white striped ribbon that I got from burlapfabric.com, and I am in love with it. Oh my gosh, is that not gorgeous? And I'm just going to wrap it around the 3 books and hot glue it over the top. That part's going to be covered so you won't see that there's a seam there, but it's got frayed edges and it is just gorgeous ribbon. Oh my gosh, the quality is so good. I'll leave you a link down in the description box. Next, I'm going to take this net burlap ribbon, also from burlapfabric.com, and it's wired around the edges, and it's also amazing. I'll provide a link for that down below as well. And I'm going to tie that over so you can still see the blue stripe ribbon. And I think the two together just look stunning. And you can move it around because of the wires and shape it the way you want, and I am loving that. I'm going to take a Sharpie, a finer point Sharpie, and I am going to write God is on the first book, and then still writing on the second book. And then on the third book, I'm going to write our story. And I did not use my Cricut for this, or stickers, or rub-on transfers. I decided to just print this as neatly as I could. I'm still working on my hand lettering, but I wanted it to look handwritten, and I really love it. And what a cool reminder that God is still writing our story. We're not finished yet, and I'm thankful for that because I make a lot of mistakes. So I'm glad I have more time to do things better, to be better. And I hope that you guys enjoyed this one too, because I think it just came out so cool, and what a neat reminder for us to have. I really like it, but I did feel like it needed something more. And I got some really pretty little white flowers from the Dollar Tree, and I just cut off 2 little pieces of the pick and put one on each side of the bow, the loop of the bow. And then I trimmed the ribbon a little bit just so that it would sit nicely, and it does with the wire in it. It's amazing. I really love that. And then I got a really pretty blue flower to go right in the center, and I just felt like that really, really made it. And then I feel like it looks like what I want it to look like, and I can picture putting it in my home to enjoy. I hope you'll consider joining me on YouTube by hitting the red subscribe button and then turning on the notification bell so you always know when I have a new video coming up. I do all kinds of DIYs in different styles. There's something for everyone. For this DIY, I'm using a little anchor shape that I got, I want to say at Walmart. And then that little cross was something my mom had made and gave to me and said, you can take this apart if you want to. It had a heart and rhinestones. The little grateful word came from the Target dollar spot, and that gorgeous blue and white ribbon from burlapfabric.com. So I'm going to sand off the rough edges and kind of decide how I want to deal with this. And I'm going to use some plaster colored chalk paint from Waverly, and I'm going to give the front and back 2 coats and just cover it 100%. And I just didn't want it to be silver, so it really looks nice once it's all plaster. After I've done that, I'm going to use my heat tool to dry it off. Man, it goes fast. And I'm not going to take the little hanger off. I am going to be careful and just paint around it. It's just so much easier. It had like 3 staples in it, and I just honestly didn't want to deal with it. So it worked out just fine. I'm going to paint around the edges because there was silver there as well. I'm going to take a little bit of the color Warm Buff by Apple Barrel, and I'm going to use that to paint the anchor. It's such a pretty buff color. I really like it, and it's very soft. I'm going to take the blue and white stripe ribbon, and I'm going to wrap it around just beneath the crossbar of the cross, and it's just going to be a nice little accent there, and I'm going to hot glue that on. As you see here, I'm positioning the anchor, and then I'm going to use some hot glue and I'm going to attach it. I think it's just the perfect spot for it to sit on the cross. I'm going to take the little word grateful, and I'm going to use some burnt umber by Apple Barrel, and I'm just going to go ahead and paint it that color. I want it to stand out, and the other colors on this piece are lighter, so by doing it like this, I think it's really going to pop out. I'm going to use some hot glue, and I'm just going to position it right there at the very top of the cross. I'm going to do a little bit of distressing. I'm going to use the Warm Buff to distress the plaster colored piece, which is the cross, and I'm going to use a little bit of the burnt umber to distress the Warm Buff part, which is the anchor, and I think that just makes it look really nice. I'm going to use one of my Arteza paint markers in the color brown, and I'm going to use the tweezers to flip it around to the pointy end, and I'm going to write the word anchor at the very bottom of the anchor, starting with the middle letter so I can get that centered, and then I'm going to put the word my right above that, and then on either side of the anchor on the crossbars of the cross, I'm going to say he is. So the side now says grateful he is my anchor. I am really loving this sign, and I am grateful that he is my anchor. Did you know that I'm on social media? You can find me on Instagram, Pinterest, and Facebook. Same name, Living My Best Life with Lisa Marie. Come on over and say hi. This DIY is really easy. I'm using that little tag from the Dollar Tree, a piece of faux leather from burlapfabric.com, some jute twine, a bunch of beads that I got from Amazon, and I will link whatever I have down in the description box below. And I did not use the blue and white stripe ribbon for this one, even though I thought I was going to. I am using cashew colored chalk paint by Waverly to do the very outside edge of this tag, and also to do the entire back. And then I'm going to take burnt umber by Apple Barrel and do a little bit of dry brushing around that edge and in the back. Dry brushing is always just putting a little bit on your brush, wiping most of it off, and then going ahead and applying it lightly. I had cut a square of the faux leather just to fit this tag. It came from a much larger piece, but now I'm going to cut it down to exact size. And you see the little ridge on the inside there? That's where I want the line to be drawn. So I'm going to try to reach under with my pencil and outline it. And then I will cut it out and trim as needed to make it fit. Once I have that cut to size, I'm going to use the tacky glue from the Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to put it directly on the wood. But before I do that, I'm going to use my Crop-A-Dile to put a hole in the top of the faux leather so that it will match up with the hole on the tag. Let me tell you, that Crop-A-Dile tool is amazing. Going through the faux leather was nothing. It'll go through metal and wood. I'll put a link for that too, because once I got that, I was like, this thing is incredible. I'm going to use some wood beads, the ones that I got from Amazon, and I'm going to paint them. The first set, the larger ones, I'm going to paint in the Cashew color by Waverly. And I do a skewer, like I put them on a skewer, and it makes it so much easier for me personally to paint them. And then the next size, I'm going to paint them in the burnt umber. And I just like the fact that I'm kind of keeping the colors cohesive and complementary to one another. And once that is painted, I'm going to take the jute twine and I'm going to string every other bead. So it'll be light, dark, until I get all the beads on the string, and then I'm going to tie a knot at the end. And then I'm going to take the other end and I'm going to attach it to the tag. I'm going to cut the other end of the twine and knot it, and then I'm going to take that twine again and I'm going to wrap it around my fingers, and I'm going to make a tassel to hang off of the opposite end of the tag. Now I have a video that goes into this in great detail, so I'm going to speed through this here, and I'm going to put a link in the description box of that video so that you can go watch it in more detail in case you need to know how to make a tassel. And now I am attaching the tassel onto the end of the twine. I have this large decal from the Dollar Tree, and all I really need out of it is the word pray. As a matter of fact, I just need the 4 letters. So I'm going to cut them out individually from this larger decal, and then I'm going to apply them individually right on top of the faux leather, the way I've positioned them there. And it just comes out so nice. This was so easy, and what a cute little decorative yet meaningful tag with a beaded garland to just remind us to pray. That's how we communicate with God. And so I just love this thing so much. You'll have to let me know what you think too. I really enjoyed making these faith-based DIYs. And now let's take one last look at our faith-based DIYs from today. This was such a fun collab. It's very close to my heart. My faith is very important to me, and I know everybody has their own faith, so I respect that. I just thought it was really fun to get together with some like-minded people and be able to create our own home decor based on our faith, and I sure hope you all enjoyed it. Don't forget to check out the playlist down below and visit our hosts, Krafty Leenie and DIY with Nadia. You will enjoy all these videos from all the talented creators in this collaboration. And to let me know you're still here at the end, leave me a pink heart down in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate the time that you take to watch my videos. It means so much. I will hope to see you in my next video, and please remember that you are a blessing to me.